Good evening. I would like to call to order the City Commission meeting for Coffeyville, Kansas for Tuesday, October 28th, 2025. Roll call by, I'm old and forgetful.
Shasta.
Shasta. Good grief, this is a
Commissioner
great way to
Faulkner.
start the meeting.
Commissioner Faulkner,
Here.
Vice Mayor Van Oster. Here. Commissioner Hendricks,
Here.
Mayor Maples,
Here.
and Commissioner Jones is out today.
Thank you. Okay, we will now have our invocation by Pastor Shannon Dozier of Convergence Church. Everybody please stand.
Heavenly Father, Lord, we come tonight, we're asking for grace, Lord God, that you would just lead us and give us wisdom. Father, Lord, we thank you for these servants, Lord God, who are willingly, Lord, giving of themselves, Lord, to just sow into this community, Lord, and to believe in its future. So, Lord, I pray, Lord, that you would, again, give them wisdom, give them grace, Lord God, as they just make decisions, Lord, and are led by you in all things, Lord, that you're glorified, and Lord, that we can see. Lord, we believe that you have called this a city of hope in its future. So, Lord, give us wisdom tonight, Lord God. We thank you for your servants, and we give you all the praise and glory in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, we will now have a review of the agenda. The first thing on that is a motion to amend the agenda to change the executive session from attorney-client relationship to the confidential data relating to financial affairs.
I'll second that.
Motion was made to amend the agenda to change the executive session from attorney-client relationship to confidential data relating to financial affairs. Motion was made by Mayor Maples, seconded by Vice Mayor Van Oster. Commissioner Faulkner,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Van Oster,
Aye.
Commissioner Hendricks,
Aye.
and Mayor Maples.
Aye. All right, we will now move on to the consent agenda. We will have the City Commission meeting minutes for Tuesday, October 14th, 2025. The 2025 appropriation ordinance number AO-25-20 in the amount of $5,705,810.08. And Vice Mayor Van Oster will have highlights.
Okay. We have Alert Roof Systems for $161,700. This had to do with 3 different properties that we have with roof repair, new roofs, South Hangar at the airport, the Raw Water Building, and the golf course. We have Algar Martin, $28,492. This is various professional services, designs, and so forth. Pay estimate number 13 on the water treatment plant water lines. Pay estimate number 11 on the 8th Street water lines. The PE report on the trade school sewers, and the PE report for the water treatment plant switchgear. We have Ashland Tree Service, Tree Expert Company, $12,111. We have B&L Electric, and this is several designs and so forth on the substations, $102,243.97. We have B&G Consultants. This is also design and on several projects we're doing. Pay estimate number 9. The 2025 street maintenance plan, and then the 8th Street cost, also on what we're going to be doing, hopefully be doing on there with the water lines and so forth, $38,438. CDL Electric, this is for West 6th Street, the water line relocation and so forth, $93,038. We have Delta Dental of Kansas. This is dental premiums and dental health, dental claims, $3,598.75. We have Ursham Construction. This is the Wilcox Street Sewer Project, $161,717. We have Grand River Dam Authority, $2,923,920. J. Graham Construction, this is the CRMC street area. Repairs pay estimate number 3, $56,908. We have Lochner, this has to do with airport, the runways, $40,670. Midland Theater Foundation, this $2,950. They were the recipients of a historical downtown grant. Midwest Pregnancy Care Center, $11,250. They also were recipients of a historical downtown grant. Wartzilla North America, this is for out the new gin plant, $33,954. And that is it that I have.
Okay, all right. Any questions, concerns, corrections? All right, if not, I will move to approve items 1 and 2 of the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion was made to approve items 1 and 2 of the consent agenda as presented. Motion made by Mayor Maples, seconded by Commissioner Faulkner. Vice Mayor Van Oster?
Aye.
Commissioner Hendricks?
Aye.
Mayor Maples?
Aye.
And Commissioner Faulkner?
Aye.
All right, we will move on to comments from the public. Any citizen desiring to address the commission shall be recognized, advance to the podium, state his or her name and address for the record. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes unless extended by a vote of the majority of the commission. The commission does not hear matters involving litigation or city personnel. The commission does not take action on subjects not on the agenda unless unusual or hardship conditions exist. Citizens may address the commission on agenda items as they are brought to the floor. Do we have any comments?
I do.
Come on up.
Hello.
Hi.
My name's Desiree West. I live at 1105 West 14th Street. And I just have a problem with all these stray dogs around here, and I feel like there's nothing really being done about it, because now that we have the new system with the code enforcement running animal control, they only work Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, which, yeah, that's, during business hours and stuff, but that's like half of the problems with the dogs. They come more so at like evening time and stuff, because that's when everybody starts like dying down, like going home and enjoying their evenings. And then, we have to get up every 5 seconds to check on our dogs because they go wild, go crazy because of other dogs on our properties. And I just don't think that it's fair that they get to roam freely without anybody doing really much about it, because that bills that we have to pay into, because our dog did get attacked twice now. I didn't report it the second time because there has been really nothing much done about it, but she did get attacked again, and she's been living, she's fine. But I just, I don't know, I just find it hard to believe that we don't have the resources to provide like different shifts for our animal control. So we have, I don't know really what to say.
Coverage?
Like the people to actually do something. Like we have 2 people working, basically using the same truck. So, they're doing one thing at a time, and when they could be doing 2 things, or, one work in the morning, one work evening shifts, and they can get more done like that. But this has caused us to pull money out of our own pockets to pay for a vet bill that could have been prevented. But I've only been told that I can protect myself using pepper spray and a stick if I get attacked, or my son gets attacked by one of these dogs. And I tried to make control, so I didn't have to get these dogs, you know, put down or, you know, who owned it so they can come collect their dogs, you know, because I don't have the heart for that. I mean, I hit a dead deer and I cried about it, so I don't want to have to, you know, do something to protect myself and my family that I'm just going to cry about later on in life. And there have been times that I have come close to dogs getting too close to me very uncomfortably. And I don't like that just because I do have a 2-year-old that I have to think about and protect. And as well as my mother-in-law that's, you know, older and she can't really do much. And when my dog got attacked the second time, I wasn't home for that. And so I was like an hour away. There wasn't nothing I can really do but just like stay inside, you know, try to scare them away. Use a stick. I don't know, you know, because I'm gonna get in trouble if I use a BB gun or a pellet gun or anything to, you know, make them stay off of my property permanently. Because every time I have called and called and called, it's obviously been later in the evening because that's when they come around. And I've been told, oh, we can't do anything about it. We'll just leave an email. We'll just leave an email. And I'm just like, one day somebody's gonna get attacked. It's gonna start with dogs, and I have heard of them killing goats and cows, like calves, at the stockyard because I live over there. And it's just gonna escalate to being humans next at that point. And I just don't want it to make it that far because that's the last thing the city needs is more deaths. But that is all I have to say. I really hope that we can come to an agreement of doing a little bit more, changing their schedules, or, you know, doing something that we can protect ourselves more efficiently other than pepper spray, because I feel like an aggressive dog, pepper spray, it'll do something a little bit maybe, but if it gets too mad, it might do more damage than it would good. And if I have a stick, like what will the stick do? It won't really do that much damage, you know. I've been around dogs my whole life, I've been around farm animals my whole life, and I've never really had to deal with this issue until I moved down here. And now that I've been here for a few years, it's gotten a lot worse because of the areas that I've been moving to, because I've lived with like 4 different houses, and this has been by far the absolute worst, you know, place for all these stray animals. And I just feel like something can be done, and I feel like everybody's just pushing it aside. That is all I can say.
Yeah.
I hope y'all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ben, what's our staffing situation at this time?
Right now, with the change that she's talking about, we do have 3 code enforcement, but we do have one that's been out on FMLA for several weeks. So there are 2. One of them is new within, well, technically they're both new. One's been with us, I think, under 6 months, maybe getting towards the 8-month mark. The other one's just recently moved in this position within the last 30 or 45 days. So Desiree and I have talked on the phone. The particular situation that she's referring to, there are 3 dogs that we've learned that have been at large for up to 1.5 years or 2 years. 4 years. What we found out in this particular situation is there was a group of folks in town that have been using a condemned and abandoned house to feed these dogs. And so they've continued to be attracted back to this area, which is adjacent to Desiree's property and also over by the stockyards where there have been issues there as well. One of these dogs was caught, and due to the I guess feral is the appropriate word. First, the animal control took it to the shelter. The shelter evaluated the dog, and for the safety of people and the other animals, could not take that dog. Next, our policy is then to take it to a veterinarian for that second level of evaluation, and the same evaluation was determined. And so, per state statutes, that dog was put down because of a health concern. So I also visited with this group of people. I had one of them come into my office. We visited about the situation and the ordinances that they are breaking by harboring those animals. So I've told Desiree this. I completely agree. We have a problem in town. That problem is multifaceted that we've been trying to fix, as you know. I do have more of for the city manager report, unless you want me to just continue and give that portion here. we can keep talking about it, or we can move it to later.
It's up to you.
We can move it to
Whatever
later.
you
We can,
want.
yeah, let's do it in,
City manager
Commissioner.
report. Okay.
yeah, if you don't mind. Thank you, though. Anybody else? Come on up.
My name is Scott Christensen. I'm the Director of Transportation at CCAP. We are running the MOGO's transportation here in Montgomery County. Do we have some,
Yep.
did anybody receive these or?
I think last week we had them, but we can pass them out here as well. We'll take a copy. There's one here. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll give you one.
Thank you.
Get your copies and see whatever. All right, we were here in the spring, and I don't think I was here. I was here? Yeah. And there was a $5,000 pledge given for the 26-27 operating year, and we want to thank you for that. We really appreciate that. What we're faced with now for the current situation, 25-26, is we ran out of money. We received money from the city of Coffeyville, the city of Independence, and Montgomery County. And our total request was $40,000. We received $13,000. And so that $13,000 is up on November 1st. So we are looking at suspending the service until we can possibly raise more funds to continue it until the end of our fiscal year. Our fiscal year, the KDOT fiscal year runs July 1st to June 30th. So that's what we're looking at specifically as it applies to suspending service. We do a great business in Coffeyville and all over Montgomery County. We take a lot of people for healthcare needs and groceries and community resources, education, that kind of thing. So we didn't know if there was any current funding available that could help us out to extend that timeline a little bit, or if anybody had any ideas, suggestions, or comments about what we could do to possibly raise a little money to keep it going.
And pardon me, I'd just jump in. So we committed, did Coffeyville commit funds for 25-26, or we had just committed it for the 24-25? I thought maybe you had come a second time.
Coffeyville contributed to this current year, 24, 25.
And has any of the other,
Or 25, 26, sorry. And the funds that we came for in the spring were 26, 27
For next year.
okay,
for next year.
So we have committed for the next 2 years.
No. You've committed for the year we're in now
Till the end of June 30th.
to the end of June 30th, and also
Next
committed
year.
for
The next.
July 1st, 2026 to June 30, 2027. Yeah.
Right.
and any other communities contribute to that? That I know initially the county and Independence did. Have they come in and gone further?
We were at the county meeting yesterday, and we were told that there was a $5,000 contribution that we weren't aware of. It was coming from a different fund, the aging fund or something. So we're still looking into that, but we haven't, I don't think we've received
anything from it.
Yeah, we haven't seen anything from Independence yet, so, for next year.
Okay.
So, pardon my analogy here, but it sounds like you may have enough to commence operations under, pardon the expression, a continuing resolution until full funding is achieved. Is that correct?
For next year, yes. What we did during the current year is we received the $13,000. We started the year hoping we would find other sources of income. We have a advertising campaign available on our vehicles that hasn't really taken off. And as we found out as we moved through that, that money is taxable. So we have to pay money on revenue generated from advertisements, and it's taxed at 22%. So
Okay.
that didn't really pan out.
I
either.
noticed it says, and again, this is old news, but down here, we ask riders for a voluntary $1 donation per ride, but no one has ever turned away due to inability to pay.
Correct.
So my question is, how many people actually make that $1 contribution?
For Montgomery County, we pool it all together we serve 6 different counties. We pool it all together, and we usually total between $300 and $400 a month. So you divide that by 6, and you're looking at between $40 and $80 a month in donations from riders.
All right. Is there anything in your formation documents that would prevent you from making that a mandatory $1 per ride to and from?
Well, there's nothing formally written, but what CCAP does is provide services for folks who are in poverty. So a lot of times the people we're serving do not even have $1 to donate. They're pinching their pennies. They have no other way to get where they're going, whether they're going to the grocery store or medical bills or things like that. So we would prefer to not make that a mandatory fare and rather leave it
Okay.
as a volunteer.
Just asking.
Yeah.
The interesting aspect of that money is that when we collect that money then is sent into the state. And they deduct that from the state's contribution to the grant, which is 30%, if I recall.
Right.
30%, 40% from federal. So we see that on the off end, because they reimburse us through the year as we bring money in, the local match, then they'll reimburse for the services that we provide. That just reduces the state amount that basically increases at the end of the grant year for us. So we never can keep that money to offset our costs. It goes back to the state.
What percentage, again, what percentage of that money that's turned in comes back to you?
Well, majority of it will on the back end
On
of
the
the
back
grant
end.
itself.
Okay,
It
so-
never comes to us directly up front.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what we're faced with in the current year and the immediate situation is services are basically scheduled to end at the end of the week because we run out of funds, and so we're looking for ways to raise some money to continue that service a little bit, so we can visit with some businesses or possible donors and see if we can keep it going through June 30th.
Where do you think the funding fell off from before?
Say that again.
Where do you think the funding fell off from previous years?
Well, when we provided transportation more than once here. We did this back in the late 90s as well as the early aughts. When we did that, the community service block grant is what we received for CCAP in regards to our primary funding for administration. That has flexible funding for it, which allowed us to fill allocation gaps in between several of the programs that we offer. In other words, it helped us to fund some of the operating costs for the transportation grant, and helped us to fund some of the administrative costs for the HUD and the housing grants that we have, as well as early childhood, which is our biggest one. So a lot of that funding came and ended up being subsidized by the community service block grant. We were bringing in roughly a little over $800,000 a year for that, which was really nice because it did offset all these costs. Problem is we were cut mid-teens, so it's about 2015, by 2/3. And so we watched that money decline down to $200 and some thousand, which then eliminated any possibility of us providing any large amount of support to those grants. That was a cut from the state. So that forced us to have to look at defining how and what services we were going to provide. We continue to provide transportation, but at that time then, we stopped providing transportation services to Montgomery County. We primarily were just Neosho and Crawford at that time. When I came here 4 years ago, we ran into a situation where El-Heat, which is the healthy
Local, local.
which is a local grant that they had from the University of Kansas State University, and we partnered and we were able to bring it back. And so we were hoping that through those initiatives, that with that funding to keep this and get this program going again, we'd be able to get local match, and that could be from you all as well as the other cities, and then also private donation. But the unfortunate is that things have been the way they have, and that hasn't come to fruition. So that's how where we're at right now. We are faced with a lot of, well, these have been challenging times. Your choice of continuing resolution was an interesting one. Political terms right now are real challenging, and we've done well with several of our programs to keep things going. This is just one of those that we haven't been afforded to be able to take any of the reserves that we did have to keep this one going in hopes that we can keep all of them happening at some point. So we're doing what we can to try to cover that gap, but the gap was just too large. It was over $200,000 and some for us to keep the programs going
Program-wide, yep.
throughout the 6 counties that we're serving right now with transportation. So
Ben, would this fall in, with their request, would it be appropriate to put that into the restructuring of the requests that we get for such funding in these different organizations? I know that we had different funds that had been donated in terms of grants, but you had indicated because it was so hodgepodge, you were going to completely restructure the program. Would this be appropriate for that?
This could fit into that. Of course, part of that restructuring was assigning an amount through a budget process. And so the more that you add into that, the less is available for more folks, right? So as I look at these numbers, and maybe one of the clarifying questions I'd have, because you're doing a really good job of staying neutral, but looking at the ridership here, Coffeyville is at 61.5% of your rides. So really, the county, if the county is everything but Independence here, and they're doing a $5,000, it would seem that they're looking at that percentage and paying appropriately. Independence, you haven't got any commitments from them yet.
Not as of yet, no.
Not recently, no.
Okay. So, looking at these numbers, you need 27,000.
That's correct.
Yes.
That's correct.
27,000 is
To
now
continue
Finish the
through
year.
June, yes.
through June of next year.
26.
Yeah. And so that's the shortfall we're talking about right now.
Correct.
And the county's going to contribute 5,000 of that, so really
Well,
22,000.
They told us they had contributed it already, but we haven't received it.
Okay.
That was for next year.
Okay.
That was a spring request made for, at a budget, when you're building the budget,
Right.
that was a spring request made for the 26-27 year.
So for 25, 26, you received a total of 13,000,
Correct,
5 being from Coffeyville,
correct.
and the remaining from,
3 from Independence and 5 from the county.
so 3 from Independence, and you did receive 5 from the county.
Yes.
For this
For the
current year
we're
that we're
operating
doing
in.
right
Yep,
now.
Right.
Yep.
Well, the other option that we've thrown out to, and by no means are you the only county that we've had to approach, and we still have 1 or 2 more to go to. One of the options that we have done is you guys are operating in a 5-day operation, and though it's not the best of worlds, one of the things too is we've reduced the number of days that we are transporting. So the amount that we're asking can go down then based on, the number of days you wanna see operation. I think the second choice is usually 3 days.
3 days a week, yeah.
Okay. So right now, we're doing 3 days or 5?
No, right now
We're
you're
doing
doing
all
5.
5 right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
So there is an option to reduce to like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or whatever.
And what would that reduce the need then
Yeah.
to?
That goes down to about $2,000 a day.
Okay.
Okay. Just curious, from Coffeyville, how many people per day do you see?
The majority of it is Coffeyville.
Okay, so, but I mean, how many?
How many a
Is the
day?
majority
It
of-
it varies.
Ballpark.
It does vary. I drive for these guys. And it does vary. Sometimes we may see 5, which is actually 10 trips a day.
Valerie?
Sorry about that.
Do you need my address?
No.
No.
But some days we might see 5 people. With those 5 people, you'll definitely get 10 rides. 1 going, 1 coming back. But we have Barbara out of, I'm gonna say Indy. She lives in, and this is I'd like to share this story with you guys. But she lives in substandard housing where her heat comes from an oven. And she lives in a trailer park. And I've tried getting her help, but this is the quality of life that they're living, a lot of these passengers on this bus. And so when we pick her up, she's gonna go to Walgreens to pick up meds. Then she's gonna go to Walmart, so that's 1 trip, and Walmart's 2 trips. She's gonna call her payee, and she's gonna wait for him to come and swipe a card. And then she'll probably hit, and don't put her down for this, she'll hit the smoke shop, because that's one of her vices, and then she'll get a trip home. So we're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4. Now that's for independence. We have one lady in Cherryvale, and this is a life that we've positively affected. She had not been out of her house for 30 days, and she called this service to take her to the Walmart or something like that. And I was talking to her, and she uses a walker. She's a little bent over, and she expressed how she had been in her house for over 30 days. She can't drive. And I told her about the track in the bottom of the hospital, because she said she would really love to walk, but her sidewalks in Cherryville are such that she can't get her walker down the street, let alone across the railroad track, to be able to walk. So now this lady goes diligently 5 days a week to the track under, at the bottom of CRMC. And she loves the camaraderie that she's built with these people who walk down there, whether it be for physical therapy or just for the health of it, And then we have another one talking about Coffeyville. I know that's your biggest concern here. We have an older lady. She lives on the east side of Walmart. Her husband passed away. I think he worked for the railroad, but they have a farm. And she's virtually blind. I know she has a hard time getting up the steps, but she, once a week, she'll go to Coffee Group on the west side of town. And bless her heart, she told me that, if it wasn't for the bus, she wouldn't be able to get out. And she said her coffee group used to be 10 people. She tells me all these stories. She's in her 90s. And she said her coffee group used to have 10 people in it, but now it's 3. And there's only 1 who can drive. So, we've got these people who are really, they're not down on their luck. It's just, in situations that are not fun to be in, but the bus has changed their lives for the better.
Is there an approach? Oh, I'm sorry.
Nope, Go ahead.
Is there an approach that you've considered to, I'm not trying to begrudge anyone in the other communities, but, you know, if there's 61% of these rides are in Coffeyville, and so Coffeyville is going to put in a lot more money, but still, you're still offering that county-wide. Is there an approach that gets that just within the Coffeyville zip code and not service other areas that not pay, or is this an all-or-nothing scenario here, where if Coffeyville steps up to give that remaining amount, it's still, everyone's getting that equal service?
Well, we've gotten to the point where, I think you bring up an interesting, because we've had this dialogue with other communities as well. Well, Crawford County is a good example. A lot of the outside communities don't pay for the transportation, but Pittsburgh does. And with PSU and the other ones there, it's used a lot. And we've had that discussion. I mean, if it comes to where the county or the other communities don't want to buy for the service or pay for some of the service, then we are going to focus that to where the service is needed. So, example, you asked 2,000 was about an average per year. So when you look at that, it's about what, between 100 and 120 rides for Coffeyville a month, okay, on average, and it's going to vary depending on the time of year. But with that said, you know, if that's where a majority of the rides continue to be, yes, we could dedicate that service to be strictly in this area. Now, I don't know if the county comes up with money, then we have to take that into consideration too. We can't
Sure.
just block it out here.
Well, yeah.
So would you say, I know you have the statistics here for 2024 to 2025 fiscal year as ridership by town. Would you say that the previous, just off the top of your head, do those percentages change much? And do you, judging from what you've seen so far, July, August, September, these 4 months.
For the current year
Do you see
is
a
pretty
growth?
Coffeyville heavy.
Yeah, Coffeyville is the most heaviest, and I think it's because this originated through the El-Heat.
Yeah.
El-Heat
El-Heat.
really originated in Coffeyville, and then we invited the outer line communities into our group. And so I think that's probably why.
Okay. So you see an uptick in your rides, maybe from last year
Oh,
to this
yeah.
year?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Now, lately.
so your percentages for this fiscal year are going to probably be more.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Okay.
At first, we just didn't have the advertising out there. But I know there are some days when I don't get a lunch because it's just back to back to back to back. And I know they don't like to hear that, but it's true. You eat on the fly. You know how it is, right? And, but anyway, I'm part of the El-Heat. So I know if we went to 3 days a week, that would reduce that cost to $2,000 a month or
Right.
$2,500 a month.
Yeah.
So we're actually talking about $8,000.
No, it would be 200 a month.
It's not 200 a month.
Two-
No, money, dollars.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So we're talking about $8,000, $9,000 to run us to June, right? For 3 days a week.
February, March, April,
So-
May, June, that's $1,200.
So if you were to reduce this, to maybe 3 days, let's say that,
Okay.
what kind of an impact on your your participants would you feel they would have, or would they be able to adjust to that if they knew that? Just your riders better.
I do, they're like family now.
I know,
Because
I
they're the
figured
same
that.
riders, they're the same people.
Mhm.
We have one gentleman, his name's Josh, he's out of Cherryvale. I'm gonna give you a little backstory. He comes from Chicago. I think he shared with me that he was incarcerated at one time, but this young man has come this far. He was looking for a job when I first picked him up. I said, go to McDonald's, they'll hire you, for sure they'll hire you. Guess what? They did not hire him. He was depressed. I said, hang in there. He finally got a job over at Comfort Inn in Indy. So we pick him up every morning, he goes to work, and we bring him back. He has not missed a day. And, well, he has, but it was our fault. And we'll take the blame as CCAP Transportation. 3 times he's missed work, but he is so diligently, he goes to work. I mean, he's changed his life, you know, and he's trying to get into independence to live. So, and I asked him, if we go to 3 days a week, well, you know, I guess I'll have to pay for connections, which if he's paying for connections, then he can't save up to try and get a place in Indy so he can be closer to work, so he can work those weekends. He's really done well. And then the lady who does the laps beneath the hospital, or in the basement of the hospital, she said 3 days is better than none. She said, I really like the conversations and just the fellowshipping with people, you know.
Sure.
And then you have people, we have 3 families out west of town. What is that? Not Garden Park, is it Garden Apartments? Okay. We have 3 families out there, they've got kids, and we are the only way that they can get to the store because, like Scott said, some of these people don't have $1. I mean, they just don't have it. They are dirt poor. The only thing that's keeping them going, for whatever reason, and I don't ask why, is their SNAP, you know, and help paying their electricity and Section 8 housing. So I don't think it would change it. You ask it, you know, what kind of impact? It'll have an impact, but it won't be a earth-shattering impact.
Yeah.
So it'd be a manageable
We
one
tend to-
Yeah.
for,
Tend to find it is.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
Like,
just
like she
people-
said, 3 days is better than 0.
Right,
And,
okay.
and
Somebody could know what days you go and make their doctor's appointment
Right.
on that
absolutely,
day.
Make-
yes,
That's the
that'd
biggest
take,
thing.
that'd take a little time to get used to, but yeah, they
But,
touch
yeah,
on.
we're just
Yep.
trying to help.
Yeah.
what we
See
can.
what-
I'm just
Commi-
thinking out
Thank
loud
you.
here.
Commissioners, I think what is appropriate is, as Commissioner Faulkner mentioned, we can add this to our, because that's currently open to our funding requests, and we'll just do our best to match that in the budget and see how we can fit in those requests together.
Can we get any more help from the county?
You can ask.
You can
I
ask.
hear they've got a $2 million shortfall
Yeah,
on
I
their
heard
budget.
that.
Yeah.
I heard that.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
from
but we
independents.
can add that to our funding requests, and commissioners should see that coming here in the next, it's not gonna, you said that rides are gonna end here
2 days from now.
2 days from now, so
Yeah.
it's not gonna
Hey.
make up that, but that will hopefully supply.
okay.
Yeah, a $5,000 donation would get us through the middle of January. And that would give us more time to hit the ground here locally to
For
possibly
private
find
donations?
private donations and support and Chamber of Commerce support, that kind of thing, so. that
Okay.
would-
And I don't like to say this, but the 2 passengers I spoke about, the woman who walks, and then the gentleman who is going to work. I know I've paid 30 days for them to use connections, because we know that Josh needs to get to work. And the lady who walks the laps, it's just a good thing to do, you know.
For
So-
her health and for her
Is
mental
El
health.
Heat have any more access to grants to participate in at all? If any of the local churches, we petition them through El Heat, or?
El Heat has $4,800 of transportation money, but we take a vote on whether we want to use that for CCAP transportation, or whether we want to try and do something else with that in means of transporting people. And they did take a poll. I think the feeling is that they would rather use a little bit here, a little bit there, instead of giving it all to CCAP. And I think that's because we don't have an answer for after November.
no,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's
Right.
why.
Probably so.
You know, why would you invest in something that you know is gonna go away in 30 days?
Sure.
And that's the only
Right.
money you've got left in your fund.
Right.
So that's, I'm pretty sure that's why.
Well,
But,
Yeah, let's see what we can,
See what we can do
Do
on the
and come
matching,
up
on the,
with.
on the funding
Okay.
request.
And we'll be happy to come back for another meeting or a work session
Okay.
or talk about it a little more in depth if we need to.
city, I forgot your name, I'm sorry, Ben?
Yeah.
When did you say you might have an answer for that, though?
Not to get us through for the next probably few weeks.
Okay, so
Yeah.
are we talking
Okay.
about December?
Let's see, what's November 13th? It's probably the last meeting in November that those requests will come to commission.
We thank you, folks. Yes,
okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
We-
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, do we have anybody else would like to make a comment? Did you want to say anything else, Ben? Okay. All right, we have on to old business. We will have the second reading of ordinance G-25-07, an ordinance amending chapter 20, article 3 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Coffeyville by adding a new Division 4, thereby implementing mitigation rates for the deployment of certain emergency and non-emergency services by the Coffeyville Fire Department.
I will move to approve our second reading of ordinance G-25-07 as presented.
I'll second.
Motion was made to approve the second reading of ordinance G-25-07 as presented. Motion made by Vice Mayor Van Oster, seconded by Commissioner Faulkner. Commissioner Hendricks,
Aye.
Mayor Maples,
Aye.
Commissioner Faulkner,
Aye.
and Vice Mayor Van Oster.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, on to new business. Resolution R-25-113, a resolution to authorize the execution of a quitclaim deed for 1114 West 10th Street to Jennifer Zapata. Director of Community Development, Amber Dean, will make comments.
Hello.
Afternoon, evening.
So we have a land bank and we have a ton of properties in our land bank. The goal of the housing department is to have infill housing and to make these productive vacant lots no longer vacant lots. We have Jennifer Zapata, who is proposing to build a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 952 square foot home on this lot. It's gone through planning and zoning. They approved it, and we're just here asking you guys to approve the quitclaim deed to make that happen.
952 square feet?
Yep. It qualifies as a tiny home.
Awesome.
Yep.
Excellent.
All right.
Okay. All
Well,
right.
Any questions?
No.
I'll move to approve resolution R-25-113.
Second.
Motion was made to approve resolution R-25-113 as presented. Motion made by Commissioner Hendricks, seconded by Mayor Maples. Mayor Maples,
Aye.
Commissioner Faulkner,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Van Oster,
Aye.
and Commissioner Hendricks.
Aye.
All right, now, Resolution R-25-114, a resolution to authorize the execution of a quitclaim deed for 1307 West 10th Street and 1312 West 9th Street to Homework Investments Granite Bay LLC. Director of Community Development, Amber Dean, will make comments.
So this is essentially the same thing. We have a developer who wants to build 2 single-family residents, roughly 1,300 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and I believe there is a garage. It's gone through planning and zoning. We're just here for approval.
Okay. And now, they have to start them within 6 months and be completed in 18, right?
Yes,
That's what I
or the
thought.
city can take the property back.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome.
Okay. I will move to approve Resolution R-25-114 as presented.
Second.
Motion made to approve Resolution R-25-114 as presented. Motion made by Vice Mayor Van Oster, seconded by Commissioner Hendricks.
Aye.
Commissioner Faulkner,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Van Oster,
Aye.
Commissioner Hendricks,
Aye.
and Mayor Maples.
Aye. Thank you. Okay, now, Resolution R-25-115, a resolution to authorize revised matching funds for the Feaster Park Playground Equipment Project under the Game Time Grant Program. Director of Community Development, Amber Dean, will make comments.
So we brought this item to commission, I believe, on the 14th for the match of $69,602. We submitted all the paperwork back to Game Time, and they came back and said, well, there's shipping, there is a material surcharge, and the rock wall isn't covered under the grant. So they came back with a number, it's $72,745. We have to cover that additional charge. So I'm asking you guys to approve the roughly $3,100 in additional charges so we can move forward with that grant.
Glad they gave us everything up front.
Right,
I do too.
right.
We did too.
Yeah.
I know. I'm sure you do.
Oh,
Well,
And this would come from the Parks Fund.
right,
Okay.
I know,
I
but
know.
still.
Yeah. No, it's
When you-
frustrating.
Yeah,
When you
yeah.
present it, you should have
They should have given you
no,
everything.
no,
Yep.
and no included.
That was part of the conversation. You're working with a municipality. We have to get this approved.
But here
Who
we
knows
are.
on their end why that happened?
I know,
Okay.
but it's not,
It's frustrating, but okay.
not
I'll
right.
move to approve Resolution R-25-115 as presented.
I'll second.
Motion is made to approve Resolution R-25-115 as presented. Motion was made by Mayor Maples, seconded by Vice Mayor Van Oster. Vice Mayor Van Oster,
Aye.
Commissioner Hendricks,
Aye.
Mayor Maples,
Aye.
and Commissioner Faulkner.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amber.
All right, moving on. Resolution R-25-116, a resolution to approve a construction contract with Goins Enterprises for the replacement of the water transmission lines at the water treatment plant. Director of Water, Steve Smith, will make comments. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you folks this evening?
Good, how are you?
All right.
Doing great, thank you. As most of you are aware that this is a long time coming, so. But currently the city has 5 water transmission lines that moves from finished water from the water plant up to the storage reservoirs at Feaster Park. And those lines are currently leaking and their joints are lead packed. So we'd like to replace those with 2 larger 24-inch poly lines. And how that's being funded is $1 million of that cost of the project has been awarded to the city by CVR with approval from the state. So anyway, staff's recommending that you approve the resolution for a construction contract with Goins Enterprise. They were the cheapest bidder. We had 5 bids for that project, so I'll answer any questions if you have any, or try to.
Well, I'm gonna ask, we're just not going with low bidder because they're low bidder, right? They have the,
No, they have
they're as
done
good as
several-
any of the others.
They have done several projects around the area, with some being in Independence and everything, and we've gotten good word back on Goins
Okay,
Enterprises.
you've checked
Yeah.
their quality of work from other people. and
Yes, sir.
I saw some of the different rates on some of the details, like cost of the 24-inch line and the footage was different than the others.
Mhm.
I was wondering, I thought that price probably be the same across the board, approximately, but apparently not.
Unless you got a stack of it and you bought it 10 years ago for a different price. You know.
That's what caught my attention.
Okay.
But if you're okay with it and you've checked them out,
Yeah, yes, sir, and that's also why we got this letter from Algar Martin and Associates that recommends us that we go ahead with them. 'Cause they
Part
do-
of that level of bid process is they come in and do a thorough evaluation of those to ensure that what they're quoting is meeting what our specs are, that we've gone out and verified who they are, projects they've done.
Okay. Next question is when are they supposed to start and approximate finish date?
Well, we'll have a pre-construction meeting once they're approved to go ahead and proceed, and then we'll get those dates at that time.
Okay.
Okay.
I will move to approve Resolution R-25-116 as presented.
Second?
Motion was made to approve Resolution R-25-116 as presented. Motion made by Vice Mayor Van Oster, seconded by Commissioner Hendricks. Commissioner Hendricks?
Aye.
Mayor Maples?
Aye.
Commissioner Faulkner?
Aye.
And Vice Mayor Van Oster.
Aye.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Steve.
All right, now, Resolution R-25-117, a resolution to authorize issuance of a purchase order to Alltech for the purchase of a backyard machine for the electric utility. Executive Director of Electric, Chris Weiner, will make comments. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you doing this evening?
Good, how are
Good, how
you?
are you?
Doing great. Thanks for having us. Got Kurt here with me if you have any particular questions on either of these next two items. But the backyard machine is a machine that we're looking at going ahead and replacing. We do currently have a backyard machine, but the current machine that we have is not quite capable of doing the job that we need it to do. It can't lift up the poles that we typically use. It does not have the height that we would like for it to have to be able to reach situations such as the tennis courts, the new tennis court lighting that we have set up. We were able to get it to be able to utilize it to where we could set those lights, but we have a few issues we need to address with the lights, and we can't do that work because it doesn't have the reach to be able to get there. So it doesn't quite have the ability to do the job that we need it to do. And if we were to have a significant storm, for instance, an ice storm or windstorm that come through, especially on the west side of town, there's a lot of areas over there where there's basically just an easement, and then you have a fence butted up against a fence, and then a narrow easement going through there, and we can't get a bucket truck through there. We're gonna have to take down people's fences on both sides potentially to be able to get a truck through there, to be able to get power restored. It could wind up, if we have a significant event, it could wind up significantly delaying our ability to restore power to a significant portion of our community. So this machine will allow us to be much more effective in our response efforts in the event that we have such an event occur.
Let's knock on wood too. We've got a windstorm coming in tomorrow, so let's hope that doesn't happen
Right.
now.
So hopefully we can get this, assuming if you're supportive of it, we can get it here before that event happens. Obviously, it won't be here tomorrow, but before such an event happens. We've lucked out here the past few years. We haven't had any kind of major events on that side of town anyways where this would be really critical, but it's something that I'd like to be prepared for it in the event that this does occur. Anything else to add to that, Kurt?
Okay.
Well, it looks like we've deferred this for several years too.
Yes.
Yes.
So we need to get this done.
And what's the use for the existing unit?
So my intent for the existing unit is to be able to utilize it with the fiber department. We currently don't have such equipment in the fiber department. They also are a little bit reliant on some antiquated equipment as is with the two bucket trucks that they've been using, one of which is also a backup bucket truck for the electric utility. We were in a situation here earlier this year that they had to climb ladders propped up against poles to be able to try and get fiber up. And so I'd like to be able to utilize this machine, existing machine, that doesn't really cut it for the electric utility because we're up so much higher and we're lifting poles. The fiber utility doesn't need to lift poles, as well as we don't need to be quite as high. So this machine could be very effective for us on the fiber side of the equation. In the event we look to sell it, and speaking with Brent, my game plan, Brent McDaniel, our fiber director, my game plan was to try and utilize it for at least the next year or so to be able to use it in the build process to get us where we need to be built out on that side of town, because that will be incredibly helpful, building out the fiber utility on those poles and those narrow easements and whatnot. And so then we might be able to look at if we really wanted to try and sell it, we could, but I still think there'd be value there in holding on to it for the fiber utility.
Okay.
How much bigger and heavier is this one than the one you have now?
The one we're looking at getting,
Yeah,
weight-wise for the machine, or like can it lift?
weight-wise for the machine.
Approximately, I think it was like 6,000 pounds.
I'm only asking because you said you need to change lights at the tennis courts. And I would hate for this to be so heavy that it cracked.
It's still
The new
gonna be
concrete.
lighter than the trucks that we got. And then the trouble truck, basically, they're even our trouble truck, the smaller one, it's still gonna be lighter than those, and it's spread out on tracks instead of tires.
So the weight's dispersed better.
Just better.
Well, I just wanted to make sure that how we're
Yeah,
gonna.
they-
You'd hate that, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Wouldn't want to crack the new concrete.
Yep.
And you
We just-
state
we
in
just-
here, you,
Pull the tension, it would all come back
Yeah.
together, right?
No.
Is that how that works?
stated in here, of course, this is a little over budget,
Correct.
but tell us, I know it's written here, but I'd like for people to see what you're being creative about in trying to make up for this being a little over, if you don't
Absolutely.
mind.
Thank you for pointing that out. So, and you'll recall the last item that we had approved, I think a bucket truck as well, came in a little bit over budget. This one was actually, came in, I think it was $45,000 over budget, above what we had previously anticipated. And so we're looking at deferring some other planned purchases that we had planned for this year, one of which was the a boring machine that we're going to put off. That expected cost was around a little over $200,000, $225,000 to $230,000. We're going to defer that for into a future year, as well as there was a vehicle planned purchase for administration that City Manager Brubaker was helpful in giving us a vehicle from City Hall to be able to utilize that reduced or eliminated the need for that additional cost, at least at that level of expense. So we've saved some money there as well, about half the money that we were going to spend on a new vehicle for administration. So certainly trying to find ways to overall come to make up for some of the cost overruns that we've seen on a couple of these CIP items, but I'm hopeful that from a cash flow perspective, we'll still be we should still be okay. But I know we've got other things coming up that will something always happens, and we want to try and be mindful of that. I'm sure that there'll be other things that come in front of you here in the next few months that aren't planned. We've also got a few other things that are planned that we'll be bringing up to you, the steam plant roof and some other things as well. But looking forward to hopefully finishing out the rest of this year with some planned purchases and hopefully not too many unplanned.
Thank
right,
you. And
thanks.
thank you
I'm going to
for
knock on wood again.
going down those paths and trying to make up for this and that. And I think the taxpayers appreciate that very much.
Remanage the situation.
Absolutely.
I will move to approve Resolution R-25-117 as presented.
Second.
Motion was made to approve Resolution R-25-117 as presented. Motion made by Vice Mayor Van Oster, seconded by Commissioner Faulkner. Commissioner Faulkner?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Van Oster?
Aye.
Commissioner Hendricks?
Aye.
And Mayor Maples?
Aye. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
All right, now, Resolution R-25-118, a resolution to authorize issuance of a purchase order to No Limit Power Sports for the purchase of a dump trailer for the electric utility. Executive Director of Electric, Chris Weiner, will make comments. And Kurt.
So this is to replace an existing dump truck that we have, that the dump truck is worn out, needs to be replaced. And so we were trying to find options to replace that with. A dump trailer, to be honest with you, I think better meets our needs, our operational needs, as well as it is cheaper than a dump truck. So trying to find a way that we may be able to actually be more effective, more efficient in our operations, and reduce overall cost in terms of maintaining and operating a dump truck. So I think that this should be a good long-term investment for the city, but certainly needs something to serve the purpose that the dump truck is serving. Anything else to add, Kurt?
40 years old, it's probably time to retire it.
I'd say you got
You got your money's worth.
money's worth out of that. If there's no other questions, I will move to approve Resolution R-25-118 as presented.
I'll second.
Motion was made to approve Resolution R-25-118 as presented. Motion made by Vice Mayor Van Oster, seconded by Mayor Maples. Vice Mayor Van Oster,
Aye.
Commissioner Hendricks,
Aye.
Mayor Maples,
Aye.
Commissioner Faulkner.
Aye.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
All right, Resolution R-25-119, a resolution to authorize the purchase of a Lanier IMC 6010 full-color digital imaging system for utility billing. Director of Finance Martin Cummings will make comments. Good evening to you.
Good evening, Commissioners. The current copier that is down in utility billing is approximately 10 years old. Probably older, but it's kind of hard to tell at this point. It's been there for so long. Put it this way, it was there before we moved back to this building. So it's been there a minute. And currently it does not, it's a very slow machine. And so as, if you're planning, printing, 1 or 2 pages at a time, it does all right. But when it comes to bulk printing, it's very impractical. And currently, we are looking to do more printing of our utility billing information, as well as other utility and community information in-house. And so, with that, we've like to ask the commission to approve this purchase. The current quote that we have, that we were able to get, and we did reach out to multiple vendors. The only vendor that responded was Digital Connections here locally. Okay, and for the particular copier that checked the boxes that we were looking for, the quote as presented is $14,995.
Warranty period?
It is being serviced. That's a good question. I'm not sure about the warranty. It is a brand new copier, so there is going to be some kind of manufacturer warranty on it. I can get you some information on that as a follow-up. Anyway, this will keep up with everything we need and will allow us to scale into additional in-house jobs we are currently contemplating that we otherwise cannot do at the moment. With that, are there any questions?
Will it be on the network?
It will have to be on the network. Yes, it'll be a hardwired network. It will not be connected through a wireless connection, though.
Okay.
Should point out, this is within appropriate costs that we can approve and move forward, but because this is a non-budgeted item and coming out of our Fund 500, that's why we're bringing that here.
Yeah.
If the need arose, would another department be able to access that printer via the network in order to print some kind of an emergency?
More than likely,
Job.
rather than that happening, is they would put a request down with Tiffany and utility billing, and then they would print it for them. Because within the city, within the building itself, that might be tenable, but once you get outside the building, that's not going to be practical. So
once you buy this, is there a monthly service contract with it, or
we
per
can
page
retain them
billing,
for
or
a
how does that work?
usage-based service contract. So yeah, our intention is not to lease this, but to buy this outright. When it comes to cost of ownership, it's a lot cheaper if you can just pay for it all at once. Because in addition to your lease cost, in order to
Well, I meant
buy it out,
even after you buy it, do you have a service contract?
yeah,
with
we
them?
have an outstanding service agreement
And then
with them,
use contract.
and it's usage only. So it's not, there's no fixed cost component to it. It's just based on actual
page.
usage. Yeah,
You get charged per page, right?
yeah, per page. There's a
And
slight
it's
cost
existing
difference.
with our other machines, so it would be
Yeah.
folded
So
into
it'd
that.
fall in with.
Fall in with the other.
Okay.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yep, that makes sense.
That's
Okay.
I will move to approve Resolution R-25-119 as presented.
Second?
Motion made to approve Resolution R-25-119 as presented. Motion made by Vice Mayor Van Oster, seconded by Commissioner Hendricks. Mayor Maples.
Aye.
Commissioner Faulkner.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Van Oster.
Aye.
Commissioner Hendricks.
Aye.
Okay, yep. Okay, don't go away.
No, he's checking the TV.
Getting the
Yep.
TV's going.
Discussion and review of financial audit service requests for proposals. Director of Finance Martin Cummings will make comments.
All right, commissioners.
Nah.
So we recently, on the 1st of September, released an RFP for the city's audit services for the city. Okay. According to our current standing policy, we are to do this for every 3 years. Unfortunately, we are running a little behind, so we are playing catch up on this.
They do have printed copies.
Yeah, they've got printed copies, so for everybody else. So I think everyone can see.
Yep, go for it.
Gallery through. Okay. So the Director of Finance, myself, and the City Clerk, we issued the RFP on September the 1st, 2025. The RFP was posted to the city website, and 7 RFP packets were physically mailed to various auditors that listed municipal auditing in the state of Kansas as a service. In total, we received 8 responses. Okay. Those responses, well, let's go back before we get that far. I think it's important before we get into that we review the scope and purpose of the municipal audit and what the auditors are being retained to do primarily. Their primary purpose is to review the city's finances annually and produce financial summaries that accurately represent to the public said finances. They are also to verify that there are no material misrepresentations or misstatements of fact in the city's accounting. And then the last major issue, and there are other minor things that they are obviously doing, but the last major component of the audit is to verify that the city is in compliance with state law pertaining to municipal finance, namely that we have adhered to the requirement for quarterly publication of the city's treasury report, that we are in compliance with the cash basis requirements of the state, meaning that for everything that we have gone to spend, we have money in excess to cover it, okay? And to make sure that we are in compliance with our approved budgets, okay? So I know there's an expectation that we want sometimes there's an expectation that our municipal auditors are to be some kind of a forensic audit team to catch every little this and that. That's not really the scope and purpose of what they do, but it's, again, primarily to present the city's financials and to be able to attest to the fact that there's no material misrepresentations or missing information in those financials. So, in total, we had 8 responses. We received a response from Jared Gilmore and Phillips, our current auditor, Lloyd Group out of Galva, Kansas, Barney and Associates out of Manhattan, Kansas, Adams Brown out of Great Bend, BT and Co. out of Topeka, FPG Tax and Accounting CPAs from Overland Park, Hood and Associates CPAs out of Kansas City, Missouri, and they also have offices in Oklahoma as well, and then Gordon CPA out of Lawrence, Kansas. Now, what everyone in the gallery can see, and then what you commissioners can see would be on the 4th page of the packet that you have, will be a breakdown summary of the pricing for the audits. Just to give you the long and the short of it, the contenders for most cost-effective audit service, we'll say, are Jared Gilmore and Phillips and Barney and Associates CPAs. Now, what you'll also see in there you'll see columns that say city, single audit, and then gives the aggregate total. City would be for that routine audit that you guys receive a report on every year. Single audit refers to a federal audit requirement. It's a special audit that we have to do in the event that we spend what was $750,000 or more of federally sourced funds. It's now up to $1 million. Okay. There is a very good chance that next year we will qualify for that requirement, and we will have to submit a single audit. So that is actually an important piece of information there. More than likely, we will have to deal with that. Now, what you see off to the right of that is a group of columns with the category label hourly fees for related services. The municipal auditors in general, for the fee that we pay for the annual audit, will also function as kind of compliance advisory staff for us. We can give them a call, make sure something's kosher. If we're not sure, does this work, does this not work, is this compliant with state law, that kind of thing. And that does not typically cost any additional money. That's part of that base fee that we pay. However, if we were to go outside of the scope of that significantly and need to engage them for some other compliance-related service, we had them go ahead and quote us their hourly rate for their partner, manager, and staff level associates, just to give us an idea of what we would be spending. Okay. All right. I know I'm chugging through this because this is really dry material, and I'm trying to get through it as quickly as we can. But any questions so far on anything that has been presented? Okay, I'll take your silence as a good sign. We'll
We're
keep going.
absorbing all of this.
You're absorbing it all. All right. All right. So this next page, though, I think is probably going to be the one where I do want to spend a few minutes and really get down to the point of having this conversation. Typically, what will happen is we do this RFP process. I come to you guys with a resolution, with a recommendation, whose staff says, "Hey, let's go with this particular auditor," and you guys say yay or nay to that, and we move on with our lives. The reason I'm coming to you today is because these top two auditors that we're talking about, Varney and Associates, as well as Jared Gilmore and Phillips, are very comparable in what they're bringing to us. And there's a very marginal difference between the two. So the way this works is, in addition to the pricing they provided, when we send out the RFP, we do send out a scoring criteria to them. Okay. Based on that scoring criteria, we have gone through, we have reviewed those proposals and scored them appropriately. For your reference, on the very last page of this presentation is the full scorecards for all the auditors. Okay. But what I want to point out is Varney and Associates overall comes in at as the lowest cost overall lowest cost auditor. Okay. The next lowest cost auditor is Jared Gilmore Phillips. There is only a $7,800 difference between the two. Okay, so it's very, very close, all right, in total scope of audit. Varney and Associates were awarded this overall score of 79, which is very close to a perfect score. As well as Jared Gilmore Phillips were at a score of 78, so they're very, very close. And like I said, on the score sheets, you can kind of see what the differences between the two are, and if you got any questions, I'm happy to field those questions for you. I'm also happy to provide you copies of those audit proposals. If you'd like to review one, see what it looks like, get an idea, I can email those to you guys at any point. Alex, you're interested, I can tell.
Have you reached out to Varney and Associates with regard to other clients, other cities that they have?
Yes.
And what, have you contacted those cities to ascertain their satisfaction with Varney and Associates?
That's a great question. At this point, we have not reached out to any of them proactively, but we do require that they provide a list of their municipal customers, particularly those that are comparable to the city of Coffeyville, per the specifications on the city that we provide them in the RFP request. In the RFP, I should say, that's redundant. So, again, Varney and Associates, now I did actually talk to them, they actually contacted me personally for clarifications on the RFP. Again, of all of the RFP respondents, they're probably the most comparable in their, what I'll characterize as their personable approach to the audit process. I can tell you already, based on the nature of the responses and also the pricing, that a number of these other auditors are going to take a much more sanitized approach to how they work with the city on the audit process. Okay.
Question. Adams Brown,
Mm-hmm.
so this lower costs, but then their hourly rates are way higher. What's the deal there?
Yeah. So they're hourly. So let's see. Adams Brown. Sorry,
Because they seem lower in cost, but then those hourly rates are way up there.
Yeah, and that's something we did look at. They are, I think, the third on
They got an
overall
80
cost.
on
Yeah.
their- That's total score.
Yeah, they had a very impressive RFP packet that they put together.
Okay.
But yes, their overall costs are high enough to make me think about it.
Meaning they may spend less time.
Maybe.
On the same
I'm
project.
It just caught my eye that they were so high in score, but yet we're not looking.
If you need extra work from them, it'll cost.
Yeah,
Under caution.
yeah. Like I said, now some of these scores have to do with things as simple and as nuanced as they spent more time demonstrating the bona fides of their staff that would be available to service us.
Okay.
I mean, some of these are very nuanced differences.
Okay, the question I want to ask is, let's assume Jared Gilmore and Phillips and Varney and Associates basically equal in ability. Is there an advantage to having a new set of eyes look at all this? Is that what the city's, is that what Stiff is really wanting?
So hints, way to get right to it. So
That's what we wanna know.
So the reality here is what I'm, and where I as the finance director was experiencing some discomfort in just coming in, slapping a name on a piece of paper and saying, go for it, is that with Jared Gilmore and Phillips, we do have a 20-plus year relationship with this auditor. They have been an auditor for a number of years for the city. They are familiar with the city. They're familiar with the evolution and, if you will, to borrow a geological term, the morphology of the city, especially when it comes to the development of what we're doing in finance. Having said all that, that's also the other side of it. We've also been with them for 20 years, and there becomes, the thing that you might look at as an advantage could also become perhaps an impediment because it's the same set of eyes over and over and over again. And the point of the audit is not just to be a compliance rubber stamp, but it is so that you guys can have some confidence that, the numbers we're putting together and accounting for every year are reasonably accurate, okay, and are in compliance with established law and
you did say this is
norms.
for a 3-year,
This is for a 3-year engagement.
Okay.
so it wouldn't be carved in granite.
No, we're not getting. This is a courtship, not a marriage. So I think.
Well, and that's what I was thinking, you could always go back if it didn't work,
If that's what we do.
if that's what we
Would,
do.
and that's my question.
I noticed their hourly fees, they use a range. So if they have somebody that is only worth they use 140 to 185. And the others, they just do a flat fee on that first page, right here.
Yeah. 'cause
Yeah.
there's one
They
there.
see,
Yeah.
if you've got notes on their manager, 140 to 185. So they're gonna take that level of manager.
On Varney and Associates.
No, Jared.
Oh, Jill. Yeah.
They're gonna take that level and charge you just for them. They're not gonna charge you at the big,
No, not necessarily. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I will say at a high level, that's true for everybody. But to your point, if you look at just picking on Adams Brown again, just because they've got numbers there, you could go. We could be up to $405 an hour. If for some reason
Yeah.
we had to do something that involved a partner level staffer. So I mean, yeah, those are certainly things to be looked at. Jared Gilmore Phillips certainly has the one of the better ranges to work off of overall. I will say Varney is a little bit higher.
But lower in the total 3-year cost.
That's what I
Yeah.
was
And is
looking
that, and contract-wise, is that's how it's written, is
And the single
if they
audit,
take
they're
longer
higher.
than they wanted to do it, it's
That's
too
no,
bad.
that is still what they're charging us.
Okay.
That is a flat rate quote. So
I wanted to
That
make sure
includes-
that, so.
The
That
time to
totals
come
it.
here too?
that includes the time to come here. I will say one of the things that has evolved a lot, and that's not just at, this is with both Jared Gilmore Phelps and then our just kind of the audit landscape, is once upon a time Jared Gilmore Phelps would be here 2, sometimes 3 days. Now they're here a day tops. Because most of the information we provide
Just because.
is already supplied to them in a data room before they even get here.
Okay.
And so they come here just for ease of conversation and facility with existing
Right.
staff. And then most of the legwork is still done off-site. Most of these, there are a couple of these, it's not Varney and Phillips. It's not Varney and Associates, it's not Jared Gilmore and Phillips. There's a couple of others here that do specify that they do it entirely remotely. So there is no they don't schedule on-site time.
But Varney
So-
would come on time.
Varney
Yeah.
would block out a
Okay.
day.
So let's get to it.
Yeah, commissioners, I'd say that really comes down to,
Yeah.
we have a 20-plus year, and staff did not feel comfortable in, through an RFP process, just changing that without this discussion moving forward.
And that's really what
The
this
two
is.
sides of the coin, yes, new eyes could produce you new results. Also, that could be, a bad thing. So really, we're here to get your
To check
temperature
your
check.
temperature.
Okay, I'm okay with it. Is staff wanting new eyes?
There,
Would you be
had
more
you asked me
comfortable?
this time last year, I'd have told you I want new eyes just because my eyes don't know what I'm looking at. This time this year, I think there's advantages to bring fresh eyes in. I don't feel strongly enough that they outweigh that to say let's get that let's break that relationship.
And I
So
think
This
Jared
is where-
Gilmore feels-
This is where we're trying
They've
to-
done fine, but they've just been
Yeah.
doing it a long time.
I think
Yeah.
that it's in the best interest of the city, of our financials, and of commission to have someone new come in
Okay.
and take a look.
I think that's fine.
I would tend to agree with that statement.
So
As
with
you
that,
said, it's a courtship, not a marriage.
Yeah.
It's a courtship, not a
So
marriage.
I don't have a problem
Now-
with Varney and Associates.
But
Yeah, is
w-
that-
when you end your marriage with the other partner, it may be harder to get back together. Just putting that out there. Right.
Yeah. Right.
You're probably
It's a tough
experiencing a
decision, but you want the right decision for the.
Yeah. No, I think there is certainly something to be said about that. There are, because we are looking to proactively modify how we approach finances in the city, having a new partner might not be the worst idea. So with that said, I will come prepared next commission meeting with a resolution reflecting this. In the meantime, Commissioner Faulkner, I will reach out to Varney and dig a little bit deeper on some of the recommendations that they provided and see if we can't maybe do some direct outreach to those not those recommendations, but to those references that they gave us.
Like to see what their references say.
Yeah, if I don't see anything that jumps out at me as a major red flag, then we'll come prepared with a resolution, making that.
All right.
With them as the proposed auditor to move forward with. With that, any other questions? Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Don't leave. You're still here. You're still up.
I know.
Discussion on utility deposits. Director of Finance Martin Cummings will make comments.
Okay. All right. Okay. This is a little more interesting. I want to kind of rip the Band-Aid off right out the door and kind of set the table for this conversation a little more directly. Utility deposits are common in the utility world, and in the state of Kansas, they are problematic. And we want to talk a little bit about that. And to be honest, we'd like to come to either this next commission meeting or the following commission meeting with some ordinance revision proposals, okay? to address some of these problems. So let's get right to it, though. Just for the benefit of anyone listening, we just remind everybody the whole point of a utility deposit is to secure payment for utility services and to protect the utility provider against loss if a customer fails to pay their bill. Okay, real simple. That's what we're looking at. So just so everyone's kind of aware, in the current state of our utility deposits, right now for electric deposit, we do have an electric deposit and a water deposit. Electric deposits and water deposits for commercial customers are based on 1/6 of the estimated annual billing. And that can get sticky if it's a brand new account. So right there, we already see one problem with the way the formulary around that. Deposits for three-phase residential are $300. Deposits for residential all-electric is $100, and then this last one is the one that's usually most applicable to our residents in the city of city of Coffeyville, $60. Okay, and that is also the same deposit for our for water as well. So, brand new person that comes in, if based on their the information they provide us, we determine that a deposit will be required. They'll be paying $120 to get their utility set up. Okay. So, long story short, this next slide is really just for your reference and for the reference of anyone who's watching at home. State statutes, Chapter 12, Article 8, Section 22 is the statute that establishes a utility, a public utility or municipal utilities authority to collect a deposit. Okay. And what it also establishes is that for any deposits that we collect, we are required to pay interest out on those deposits, either when you go to get your deposit refunded or as a credit to your account, depending on the situation. Currently, that is by statute set by the KCC, and currently, that is 4.3%. I'm just going to get ahead of you guys here real quick. I don't get that much interest from the local bank account, so right away you can see where someone like me doesn't like deposits. Okay, so anyway, the city ordinance is Chapter 42, Article 1, Section 7, and that establishes the criteria under which a deposit will be required, and then it also provides that the amount of the deposit will be determined on the city's fee schedule. So that's just something there that it's good. We have a number of ordinances that do not state what a financial requirement is. It references that city fee schedule. So here in, I don't know, a month or so, when we bring the city fee schedule to you, that's where we'll also identify what any revised fees will be surrounding utilities, deposits, that kind of thing. Okay. Any questions so far?
May I assume that, maybe improperly, may I assume that the majority of these fees collected are for rental units as opposed to long-term residential?
Not necessarily. I would not, I can't tell you the exact number, though I don't believe I'd be comfortable making that generalization.
Okay. What's your experience in terms of residents who've made a deposit that, I'll use the term, bail out with a bill that exceeds the deposit and leave you high and dry for that particular account?
Again, I don't have numbers to quantify it, but I'm going to answer your question this way. Enough that I am not worried about losing that deposit security, because usually when someone blows through and we're ready to do a final cutoff and we're not turning them back on again, we are way further behind than that $60 for that utility. So the amount of financial security we're getting from that in and of itself and the way that it's structured is very debatable.
Yeah,
Inconsequential.
$60 ain't much.
Yeah,
Okay.
it doesn't, no,
All right.
it's
I'm going to put you on the spot for a minute. It's something I didn't catch earlier. You mentioned just now KCC.
Yep.
We don't fall under them on the other end of electricity.
Doesn't
we
matter.
still fall here.
The statute stipulates that very specifically. The statute that gives us the authority to do it also stipulates that the KCC sets our rates. So listen, last year it was really bad. We had 5% is what we had to pay on last year. So, I mean, 4.3% is a bargain by comparison. Feel free to look it up, guys. It'll just make you upset. So, but it's based on their estimation of what the short-term risk-free rate is. I don't know what textbooks they're consulting, but when I went through grad school, that wasn't it. So anyway, so this next one, I think it kind of underscores the financial burden that we're really talking about. So right now, the city earns, for the utility account that we're able to hold and the amount of money that we're allowed to hold, only earns 1.7% at the local bank. At 4.3%, you can obviously see where we have a problem here. So just to kind of cut to the chase, based on a $120 deposit, just in 1 year for holding that deposit, the city's going to lose $3.12. Now, I know that doesn't sound like a lot of money, but when you multiply that by umpteen deposits, that's adding up.
It's adding up, yeah.
Yeah, so. Additionally, because this next comment does revert to a kind of a spider web of different issues we're unpacking in utility billing right now. I'd be remiss if I didn't at least bring it up, though, in this conversation. There are a number of what we'll call legacy accounting/administrative concerns around past policies, rules, and practices around how and when a deposit refund, whether it's a cash refund or a credit to your account, is given and your deposit balance is set to zero. Okay? I will give you an example. I have one, in fact, just because we were helping them out with an issue not too long ago. Sardis Church here in town has had a utility deposit on file since the late 60s. I think it's not a lot of money. Okay, it's a single-digit number. And when I realized this, I'm asking, why are we still holding? First of all, it's okay. All right, listen, that's not even going to get you a Happy Meal right now. And second of all, I don't know why we're still holding it, and I can't give you a good answer. But we have a fair number of our deposits are kind of these legacy deposits that for whatever reason we've never retired those deposits. And so we do have this sort of burgeoning outstanding liability that's kind of messy. In fact, I've talked to some auditors that offhand hate deposits because they create an extra sort of a layer of an accounting exercise that has to happen annually. And they get messy fast. And so it's another reason why I'm just not a fan of holding these deposits.
So what's to prevent you from, in the case of Sardis, just sending them a letter and saying your account will be credited with X number of dollars for the next bill?
On the bill.
Absolutely nothing.
Merry Christmas.
There is nothing at this time, but given the fact that we now we're trying to understand the size of this problem. And listen, obviously, guys, I don't have to tell you guys, we've done staff changes. We're trying to aggressively update and high grade our utility billing as much as we can to render it more efficient. And so part of this whole exercise we're going through is uncovering and unpacking just how far all this goes. It's one thing to run a really generic report out of your ERP and go, well, that's a lot of something there. And it's another thing when you start going into it and realizing how old some of these are and going, why haven't we done this? And I don't have a good answer for why we haven't done it yet. What I would prefer that we did, rather than piecemealing out the solution to this problem, is to bring you guys an ordinance that would revise the current language in the ordinance, which would not eliminate this portion of Chapter 42, but reduce it down, and instead of talking about a utility deposit, we look at some alternatives, okay? And this is kind of the conversation I also wanted to get in front of you and get your feedback on. Rather than having these deposits that we have to hold, lose money on, and then create the whole accounting exercise of crediting accounts, or when someone moves out, refunding back their deposit after their final bill is paid, doing an initial connect fee, okay? It's a non-refundable fee that you pay at the beginning. It would be theoretically less than the deposit by some amount. More and more smaller cities in rural Kansas are getting away from these utility deposits and moving to just an initial connect fee. Okay, now, I didn't come prepared to talk about dollar amounts or anything like that. That's something we want to present to you as a part of our annual fee schedule. Thank you. But once we establish that it's non-refundable fee, it's a setup fee, one time, you're done, then all of a sudden, we still get, we're still getting a dollar amount that offsets our costs, that does give us some protection, that does go into the utilities, that helps add to their cash balances, does all the same things a deposit does without the liability that it creates for the city. Another solution that's been tried by other cities, and I think is worth considering, is obviously the whole point of the deposit is I hold your deposit, part of the deposit is I hold your deposit, and if you want to get that deposit back, you'll make sure you're paying your bill on time. Okay, we've already talked about how the $60 deposit's probably not enough of an inducement isn't the significant reward that we would hope it to be to induce people to make sure they're always paying their bill on time.
Mm-hmm.
So a supplemental effort that we go through is a graduated reconnect fee schedule. And if you look at the next, if you look on the next page, I provided a sample. The dollar number, the starting dollar number is arbitrary at this point. It's just to illustrate the point. But with that, you would start out the first time you're disconnected for non-payment, not for any other reason, just for non-payment, you have a reconnect fee of $50 in this example. Now, we already make people pay reconnect fees. That's normal. What would be different in this situation is that within a rolling 12-month period, every time we have to go back out and reconnect you due to a non-payment situation, your reconnect fee goes up. Okay? So in this scenario, it's progressive pretty substantially. It doubles every time we have to go back out.
I want to add, I want
Go
to
ahead.
caveat to that.
Mhm.
Oftentimes, we are finding situations where the staff that are going out on multiple occasions to the same address for this reason, we're paying them overtime or double time to be out there. This doesn't always happen during those regular business hours. And so, to that point, traditionally a deposit was there to help avoid that lack of payment. We've got to a point, maybe it just hasn't been increased over the years like it should be, that there is no incentive to find ways not to do that. Now, this does not mean that we do not have, we put payment plans in place. We work with people regularly that are having difficulty. So this is not, just the stick. There is already a large carrot involved in this. But there's really no stick, and the city is taking the brunt of that, being a municipal utility that your private utilities don't accept. And so this is trying to find a way to protect that utility as well as that resident, because we're a municipal utility.
And that's a worthwhile point to underscore. It takes very little effort to avoid being disconnected for non-payment with the city. A phone call or a visit to City Hall will get you taken care of. We'll put you on a payment plan. Sometimes if it's just a matter of, hey, listen, I didn't get paid on time, whatever, I need a couple extra days. That doesn't even necessarily require a payment plan. That's a note on the account. You come back in a couple of days, you're taken care of. So there's a lot of things that we are willing to do to keep people from going on a cutoff list. And so that's very, very important. We need people to be proactive with their utility bills, even if it's in just communicating with the city that they can't pay on time this month. We will work with them. They will avoid this whole situation. And we are very, very accommodating when it comes to repayment plans, catch-up plans, what we call repayment contracts.
So it's a matter of personal responsibility on the part of the customer.
That's exactly right. Okay. And And then the other thing, when we talk about the security component to the deposit to the city, I think in doing away with deposits, the state has a great program that isn't present in others, or not necessarily present in other states, and that is the state set-off program. And what that allows us to do is if somebody is delinquent on a utility bill by the end of the year, we can actually send that information to the state. And what'll end up happening is when they file for their tax returns, before they get their returns, we get a piece of that to actually satisfy their debt, okay? So by eliminating deposits, I just want to illustrate that we would not be leaving ourselves exposed to any significant risk that we're not already exposed to. And so, again, the whole point of this is to kind of set the table for not a resolution, but an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances to reflect our ability to get away from deposits, replace it with some of these other components of utility billing that we could implement, and then save the city some valuable money, save us time, and I think create a much cleaner billing experience. Because I will say one of the stickiest parts when it comes to customer complaints and staff complaints since I've been here have always been around deposits. So any questions before I get out of y'all's hair for the evening?
Well, when you make this proposal, if we do accept that, could I suggest that you include a provision that would address those legacy deposits that are held, and perhaps once a year look and say, okay, everybody that has 10 years or 5 years or whatever number you come up with, that legacy deposit will just be credited back to their account, and that would eliminate
we would be looking
part
to do
of
that
your
all
problem.
at once. We would be looking to do that before the end. So we're looking. This would be to go all into effect January 1. Before January 1, we will have retired the entirety of our utility deposits. So just
And
so
then
you,
it's a non-issue.
It's a non-issue.
It'll become a non-issue. There will be no more outstanding deposits going forward when we start this. This will be a clean slate.
So everybody that has made a deposit will get a credit to their account?
We'll get a credit to their account to the
Okay.
tune of their deposit plus this year's interest.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, and that's what we will be doing. So anyway,
I think that's a great idea.
okay.
Here's your $6.17.
Go to McDonald's, buy a fillet of fish.
Don't spend it all in one place. All right.
Any final questions on that matter?
No, thank you for doing this.
Thank you very much.
Okay. All right.
All right, now, city manager's report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to just tie on the back of that a little bit more. I think twice this evening I've chuckled at comments that both Marty and Chris have made about cleaning up. We have a team that is tirelessly trying to correct deficiencies, understand decisions that were probably made 15 or 20 years ago that were appropriate at the time, but they just weren't ever dusted off and inspected since then, and that changes around us have made it to where, whether it's federal or state laws change, or the direction of the commission has changed. So they both made it sound like it's an easy process, and I just have to chuckle at that because we're having heated debates internally on how to fix and how to clean up and what to change and why are these things that way. So I would also say that a lot of the solutions that you're hearing from us include the inspection of fees and charges and costs. And so from the outside looking in without a lot of perspective, you can easily say that the city manager and his staff are just trying to find ways to just raise costs all over. And really what that comes down to from our evaluation is that on a variety of areas, the city has had a policy of subsidizing these costs to the detriment of the asset that the city is, and that a lot of these things, it's the the piper shows up, and that debt is due, and we're finding that. I had someone talk about the age of some of our vehicles, and why does the city just buy brand new vehicles? Well, you can see here with electric utility, well, we're replacing 40-year-old vehicles behind that. And so it's not that the city's necessarily out wasting that money just to have new vehicles. It's that replacement. So from that to utility billing to how our water fees and electric fees are, these will continue to be challenging conversations that we have to bring, and that commission have to make those decisions. But under my direction, we're trying to point those out. Ultimately, you have to make that decision and how we move forward. But I expect that to continue to happen until the day that we don't find ordinances or policies or processes that are wonky or not being followed. So that will continue to be a theme for those that are listening and may question that as well. It's not just about how do we make more money, it's about taking care of the asset we have, and unfortunately you have to do that with that money. So animal control, and unfortunately I think Desiree made it to about 8 o'clock and then had to go. I wish she could have been here. That particular situation we're talking about, there's still those 2 dogs at large that have been fed for probably up to 4 years, whether in condemned properties or other places in town. So we have an issue, and as I've searched, so does every other town in the country, really. There's some towns that have got control of that issue when it comes to animal control and are doing things better, and we are trying to do that. That also is a cost. I have been working with Coffeyville Friends of Animals for the last better part of 11 months now on proposals and options for the city to step in and help them more than we have been. This last year, I believe it was $46,000 through funding requests that the city funded the animal shelter. That's about half of what their budget to run is. The facility belongs to the city. There are a lot of things out there that have been donated or purchased by Coffeyville Friends of Animals, but the facility, as you know, is the city's. When we talk about the inability of staff to get something done, there are 2 major issues that confront us there. Both state law / city ordinance. Some of this has to do with a perceived vicious dog that's within a fence, and there's now property rights of that owner as long as they're following certain rules, certain guidelines. So it can bark, it can growl, it can run up to you at a fence, and there's not a lot as a city we could go in and do because of those property rights. Unfortunately, oftentimes, before you can act, that animal does have to bite, and then it's a different legal procedure to move forward. And people find that very frustrating, and I do too. Again, those are both state and our local ordinances. Paul has been working with Matt Conger and Amber Dean on updating our animal codes. We've had a group come in and do training. As we've moved away, we've pulled animal control, as you know, away from the police department. We've put it in with code enforcement, and so code enforcement is 3 people deep. There's not an increase in a number of employees there. It's just bringing one over and combining, and we can have 3 folks work on both animal control or code enforcement together. That next major issue we bump up against is back to that animal shelter that has 25 kennels and a few for small animals. The amount of animals that are on the loose, that are stray, that we have problems with, we don't have a place to take them. In the olden days, which were not so olden ago, the city and like others resorted to things like a bullet in a field. That is not permissible by state law, and the only way to euthanize an animal is through an actual veterinarian, and then we have to go and both incur those costs and go through that process. We can't just make those determinations ourselves. So we could have staff all night long, but if you don't have space in an animal shelter to bring these animals in, that's exactly what the public is experiencing and right now we don't have our communication we're working on our communication. We've got new folks in, we're learning how to catch animals, we're learning what tools we need. We're learning those repeated abusers. So we are increasing, we are getting better. From August to the beginning of this month, we moved 32 animals through the shelter. That was a higher number than the shelter has seen. So we're being much more proactive than we have been. Last year, I think we were in the teens on how many citations in town that we had given for people not following those ordinances. Years prior to that, we were in the several hundred citations given. And so that was a change we needed to make, is come back. Part of that is educating the public on these ordinances that they don't know. So this is it's extremely complex problem. You have a letter of someone that has a differing opinion than Desiree has in this situation that I've handed to you earlier. And that person sees it completely on the other side. So the city finds itself in between this rock and a hard place on caring for animals appropriately, but also making sure that the public, other animals, livestock are also protected. So yes, we're putting a lot of resources in. Part of our proposal to the animal shelter, which we're getting closer and closer to some agreements, would be a fundamental change to our memorandum of understanding where they independently run that animal shelter. And I'm stepping in and saying it's time for the city to support the animal shelter more than we have been. It is our facility. We have not had that facility in any capital improvement in the last 10 years that I can tell. So our facility needs a lot of help. They've got fans, so you use a lot of chemical to clean. You've got the urine and the feces that are out there, they're cleaning regularly. Those blow fans aren't blowing those out. Their air conditioners are failing. They're going through wash machine and dryers, residential, using it at a commercial level very quick. So there's just a lot of things we can be doing, and we are working on those. Unfortunately, the public's going to have to continue to be patient and know that I don't know that we have the golden ticket to solve this problem. We're going to be taking over licensing, so that can help animal control better manage the population and understand where these animals come from. We can encourage rabies vaccinations. We can step in and help spay and neuter. One of the things that several people have brought up, and these are people on both sides of the issue here, is why doesn't the city require animals to be spayed or neutered? And I have found ordinances. Now, we have to talk with Paul on the legitimacy if we have the right to do that, and that may cause other areas of concern. There may be breeders in town. You'd have to come up with policies there. But that may be an option too. We had 4 litters of puppies at the shelter. I mean, that constantly happens. We have dogs that are giving birth regularly, and so we have a stray population that will be attracted to an animal like Desiree had on their property because of no animals spayed or neutered here. So just a complex problem. Right now, there's not rules for that spay neuter. We can encourage it. We can find funding for it. So it is complex. I have met with both sides of this issue, trying to understand their issues. And I noticed we were talking about Desiree had put out a petition, and you may have seen on Facebook, and just putting that out there, the comments and the back and forth in town, it's a very divisive conversation. People find themselves on either side of the aisle there. So I noticed the moderators did take that down because it had turned so divisive. So not a simple solution. Actively working on trying to increase what we're doing. It will not be to a resolution I'm sure that everybody is satisfied with. People are still going to get those responses of, we'll take record, we'll take note. We're going to get to a point where we cannot respond to every stray animal call. Right now, we're creating standard guidelines for our people to say, when should I go out? Because again, we started this in August, and we're a little bit chaotic, and they have just dived into the animal control side, frankly, too much. And so part of this SOP that I've asked them to put together is, one, a de-escalation. We had some pretty hairy situations where people were upset about this situation Desiree came to talk to us about. It put people in harm, and that's unacceptable. As far as I'm concerned, you could let an animal go if people are now in harm because of anger and frustrations behind this. So we need de-escalation procedures now within this, which of course are already baked into how police are taught, and we have to reteach that. And we also need to know what should we respond to if someone is in physical harm, there's animal endangerment, there's a lot of categories there, but just having a stray dog running around is not something we have the ability to go and respond to, and then, or even to take the animal to the shelter when 9 times out of 10, it's full. So we're putting things in place. We're working well with the shelter, with community representatives. The group that sent you that letter, I've talked to them about doing a foster program in town. That's essentially what they're doing, is they are fostering animals, but they're doing it illegally, both against state law and our ordinances. And so I brought them in and said, let's use this energy. Let's go build together a foster program that follows the law. Now, you start following the law, guess what? It's more money because there's more vet bills that have to be involved. So we're going to have to, as a city, put money into this more so than we have in a number of years. And maybe we can get better control of it and then move forward gradually versus all at front that you're going to see here in the next year. Tennis courts. So the October 30th is when the bid process is due. All the bids are due to come in and do all the sidewalks, the cement work around there. Part of the issues that we've had with, we've talked about with the length of the court being longer than initially anticipated. We had to put some retaining walls in. That created issues with putting some of the electric poles in. So some of the electric is not put in yet either, and it can't be until the retaining walls are in to supplement that. So it's a continual process. We're now moving into that time of year where we should be able to see the 30th. We should have this on the agenda to pick the winner of that bid for the sidewalks here by the next meeting. But then we move into the time of year where weather will dictate when we can get those things
So there's
done.
no projection at this point for a quote, grand opening ceremony?
If someone wanted a date, the date I'd give them is springtime.
Springtime.
Yeah. Now, Commissioner Hendricks reminded me that this is southeast Kansas and not Idaho where I come from, and we might have 60 degrees in December and January, and so we'd love it if people would be able to go out and play at that time, but we're still dealing with the construction phase around those courts. Did want to give an update. We are, it's that time of the year we're in union negotiations with our 4 unions. Unique, I'm told, I hadn't experienced this myself, but 3 of our unions requested to meet together for our first meeting, and so we had that meeting 2 weeks ago. We had IBEW met with us today. Really what we're all waiting for is the wage study. If you recall, we went out, paid for a wage study to really analyze where are we at from a market perspective. That came in, those details came into us about 45 days ago. And we've spent the better part of the last 45 days cleaning up and changing. When someone is working over Zoom calls and phone calls, they're going to get positions wrong. Positions that belong in a different union, positions that aren't that level compared to what another city. A lot of comparison to other cities, and our titles all don't match. So there's been a lot of work and a lot of cleanup. We expected Tuesday last week to have the final edits to that complete so we could start engaging with our unions on the wage portion of the negotiations. We didn't get those last Tuesday. We've put out an email saying, hey, where is this at? The response was, we're so sorry, we're still working on it. So our unions are kind of chomping at the bit, rightfully so, because that's that main piece to those negotiations, but we are getting through that. We've sat down, we've gone through requests that the unions have, requests that the city has. Both sides are considering those right now as we move forward, but that's just one piece to that overall negotiations. As we talked about with being delayed here, we attempted to reflect in our budgets what we anticipated an increase being as we got those numbers, and again, very early. We were looking at a 600,000 to 800,000 increase overall, and that's just wages. That's not other asks that may be in there from the union or that the city recommends. At this point, the guesstimation is between $200,000 and $400,000 increase to our budget than what we put in there. Again, I don't have those final. Once we get that back from her, that's when Marty and Alice and I have to sit down and start analyzing what those numbers are and make that determination, of course, that commission gets to make on accepting those negotiation, those terms, where we can and what we can't do. So that is coming. We got to get that done here by the end of December. And so we're definitely up against the wall there. Code enforcement, I've been having great conversations. I went to the League of Kansas Municipalities meeting a few weeks ago. One of the key addresses was about nuisance abatement and yard maintenance. I've also had a great conversation with one of the directors in the Sedgwick County / Wichita area on what they do for nuisance abatement. So we're talking everything from tall grass, junk cars, junk, trash in yards. And the theme that I'm finding, which is one I have been working with code enforcement on and saying to them that we need to change, is this voluntary, what's the right word? Voluntary, they need to voluntarily clean up their own stuff, basically is what it comes down to. So, you know, the city of Wichita, I don't believe I've told you this, but I find it very surprising that for their size, their budget for grass control is $50,000. They don't go over that. Last year we were at like 46 or 48,000 ourselves. So as I look at a lot of the commissioners reach out to me to talk about abatement issues and trash issues and large trees and things growing through. You start talking about broken windows and boarded up houses. We start moving into building code there. The city has not chased those things as heavily because funds get depleted. And the process has not been to go out and encourage this voluntary cleanup, pickup, or change. It's been, we show up and we force you if you don't follow our rules. And when we run out of money, we can't force you anymore. We could send you a letter and hope you do it. So we are trying to change what that looks like. And what I expect is to, if Wichita's budget's $50,000 for grass, ours should be $5,000 or $10,000, and we should be able to go take that $30,000 or $40,000 and apply it in other areas. Part of that voluntary programs we've seen that I've seen in other communities, and that were part of this presentation, is kind of like our grants for housing that we've had, is be able to give assistance where needed. And so rather than a neighborhood requesting a dumpster and we just put it there, maybe we utilize those dumpsters and come into a neighborhood and encourage those kind of changes. Their metrics for success, especially in Wichita, is heavily driven on what are the complaints we receive and how many of those complaints are cleaned up voluntarily. They're at a 13 to 15% where they have to spend money. The rest they get voluntary, and they pride themselves on that outcome. So we are working to, how do we change that here at the city? Now, you haven't asked for that specifically, but as you continue to ask and push on code enforcement, this is the way I believe that we need to move. And so we'd have to start looking at that different. A win, if we go this way, and we'll continue to have these conversations, but a win would be getting voluntary compliance, which means when you don't, you're moving on to the next. So you may have homes that have tall grass. Now, there's cities around us that have tall grass that aren't necessarily operating in this fashion. So that's not the intent either, is just to ignore that. But I'm concerned on the grass because I think that's something that Coffeyville has prided itself in for a long time. And what I'm suggesting there, if we're to move beyond grass to some of these larger issues, we need to shrink something, and something we focus on, and something that just our code enforcement puts a lot of time into grass. So that time and money, I think, can be devoted to a different approach to hopefully have a similar outcome. So I've said that, we continue to say it, we're continuing to build that. Amber and community development Her department is working with Matt Conger and Code Enforcement from a strategy side. How do we take this approach? How do we move forward? We'll continue to work that. It is a complex issue. Again, you're dealing with property rights. You're talking about demoing houses. You're talking about forcing people to do things. And then you're also talking about how do you communicate and encourage them to go do it themselves. Those are complicated things, and it's going to take time to move into that. So we're working on that. We're pushing forward. I know each of you will send me messages like, what about this? What's going on with, why can't we? And I totally get it. I don't just get them from you. I get them from all over town. And largely it's because we've been very budgeted based. When that budget towards that end of the year runs out, we can send letters, we can go encourage. Now, our staff already know how to do this. They've done that. South Walnut was a great example. They went out and they did a lot of encouraging. We had one property that didn't do anything. And we haven't necessarily gone after them. But if we would look at that as currently as a failure, and we should, if we had the money, we could go enforce that. I want to turn that and say, look at the success. Look how many people went out and did it on their own, and we moved to the next. Sometimes that won't be appropriate. Even Wichita has that 13 to 15% where they're going to go out and enforce those ordinances and charge those fees. Quick reminder, I did send an email. I've heard from two of you. You won't be able to make it. It's an awkward time, but we were invited to go and watch that drone performance up north from the PD up there. Of course, our PD, as you know, is looking into that level of drone and camera sophistication. So if anybody's interested in that, let us know. We can help with rides getting up there. With that is all I have.
Okay. Comments from commissioners, staff?
Since you opened the door, I'm going to step through it and say something
can I
that
shut it real
probably
quick?
we're not going to want to hear. But if we wind up with a total increase in salary, wages, benefits, $300,000-$400,000, and we may assume a zero-based budget where we do not increase the mill levy or we don't increase utility rates or more than we're already scheduled to do so, it's got to come from somewhere. It's not an inexhaustible well. So downstream, you'll need to be able to address where is that money going to come from.
Yeah, absolutely on our mind. Like I said, I'm hopeful that we've already put it into the budget. From the high level, non-analyzing, it looks like there may be that $200,000 to $400,000. So relatively lower number in a $103 million budget. We do have general fund, reserves and things set aside for instances like this. But yes, we will make sure that we analyze that and bring that to commission on where does that money come from.
Thank you.
I just want to say thank you for taking the time, you and your staff, for analyzing our processes. I don't think people realize how important that is to do every 10 to 15 years even, just to take the whole process and are we doing it right? Are we doing it wrong? What can we do to improve? And that's a hard thing to do. It's a lot of work. And I really thank you and your staff for taking the time to do that.
And I would encourage not only the commissioners, but the public. When you see someone, if you see a member of the staff out there in the public doing something good, take a moment to thank them for what they do. I had the opportunity to thank a lineman a week ago, and most of the public don't realize what they do out in weather like this, and when the ice storm hits and they're called out at 3 o'clock in the morning. We need to thank them for that.
All right, we will move on. I will move to recess to executive session to discuss confidential data relating to financial affairs or trade secrets of corporations, partnerships, trusts, and individual proprietorships, as permitted by KSA 75-4319B4 of the Open Meetings Act, to include the city attorney, city manager, and director of finance for a period of
10 minutes should be acceptable.
10 minutes, and reconvene at the commission room at 9 o'clock.
Yeah,
We're going to take a 5-minute break.
5-minute break. I'll second it.
Motion made by Mayor Maples, seconded by Vice Mayor Van Oster, to move to recess to executive session to discuss confidential data relating to financial affairs or trade secrets of corporations, partnerships, trust, and individual proprietorships as permitted by KSA 75-4319B4 of the Open Meetings Act, to include the city attorney, city manager, and director of finance for a period of 10 minutes to reconvene in the commission room at 9 p.m. Commissioner Faulkner,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Van Oster,
Aye.
Commissioner Hendricks, and Mayor Maples.
Aye. this time, and I will make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Mayor Maples, seconded by Vice Mayor Van Oster to adjourn at 9:01. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.